get joy thinking about what he's done for me. I get joy thinking about what he's done for me. It's in my hands, my feet, I'm talking about what he's done for me. I get joy just thinking about what he's done for me. I get joy thinking about.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Once again, we welcome you to our Wednesday Bible study. We're so glad that you tuned in to study with us and see what the Bible really says. And not only what it says, but learn a bit about what it means. We want you to learn from these lessons that we're exploring, particularly in this series on the life of David, King of the Jews. Now, we're looking now at some of the trials of David that he endured throughout his lifetime. And when we last saw David, he was leaving Jerusalem while running from Absalom. Mephibosheth goes back to take the throne again. Shimei comes out and curses him on his way as he's running out of Jerusalem. But his allies bring provisions to David and those traveling with him. He writes in Psalm 3, in praise and gratitude for the deliverance of God. David is always able to see God's hand as he goes through his trials. No matter what, David's going to bless the Lord. We pick up today at 2 Samuel chapter 18. And David numbered the people that were with him and set captains of thousands and captains of hundreds over them. And David sent forth a third part of the people under the hand of Joab, and a third part under the hand of Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, and a third part under the hand of Ittai the Gittite. And the king said unto the people, I will surely go forth with you myself also. But the people answered, Thou shalt not go forth, for if we flee away, they will not care for us. Neither if half of us die, will they care for us. But now thou art worth 10,000 of us. Therefore now it is better that thou secure us out of the city. And the king said unto them, What seemeth you best I will do. And the king stood by the gate side, and all the people came out by hundreds and by thousands. And the king commanded Joab and Abishai and Ittai, saying, Deal gently for my sake with the young man, even with Absalom. And all the people heard when the king gave all the captains charge concerning Absalom. So the people went out into the field against Israel, and the battle was in the wood of Ephraim, where the people of Israel were slain before the servants of David. And there was a great slaughter that day, 20,000 men, for the battle was there scattered over the face of all the country. And the wood devoured more people that day than the sword devoured. And Absalom met the servants of David, and Absalom rode upon a mule. And the mule went under a thick boughs of a great oak, and his head caught hold of the oak, and he was taken up between the heaven and the earth. And the mule that was under him went away. And a certain man saw it, and told Joab and said, Behold, I saw Absalom hanged in an oak. And Joab said unto the man that told him, And behold, thou sawest him, and why didst thou not smite him there to the ground? And I would have given thee 10 shekels of silver and a girdle. And the man said unto Joab, Though I should receive 1,000 shekels of silver in my hand, yet would I not put forth my hand against the king's son. For in our hearing the king charged thee, and Abishai and Ittai, saying, Beware that none touch the young man Absalom. Otherwise, I should have wrought falsehood against my own life. For there's no matter hid from the king, and thou thyself wouldst have set thyself against me. Then said Joab, I may not tarry thus with thee. And he took 3 darts in his hand and thrust them through the heart of Absalom, while he was yet alive in the midst of the oak. And 10 young men that bare Joab's armor compassed about and smote Absalom and slew him. And Joab blew the trumpet, and the people returned from pursuing after Israel, for Joab held back the people. And they took Absalom and cast him into a great pit in the wood, and laid a very great heap of stones upon him. And all Israel fled, every one to his tent. Now Absalom, in his lifetime, had taken and reared up for himself a pillar, which is in the king's dale, for he said, I have no son to keep my name in remembrance. And he called the pillar after his own name, and it is called unto this day Absalom's place. Then said Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, let me now run and bear the king tidings, how that Jehovah hath avenged him of his enemies. And Joab said unto him, thou shalt not bear tidings this day, but thou shalt bear tidings another day. But this day thou shalt bear no tidings, because the king's son is dead. Then said Joab to Cushai, go tell the king what thou hast seen. And Cushai bowed himself unto Joab and ran. Then said Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, yet again to Joab, but howsoever, let me, I pray thee, also run after Cushai. And Joab said, wherefore wilt thou run, my son, seeing that thou hast no tidings ready? But howsoever said he, let me run. And he said unto him, run. Then Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain and overran Cushai. And David sat between the two gates, and the watchman went up to the roof over the gate unto the wall, and lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a man running alone. And the watchman cried and told the king. And the king said, if he be alone, there is tidings in his mouth. And he came apace and drew near. And the watchman saw another man running. And the watchman called unto the porter and said, behold, another man running alone. The king said, he also bringeth tidings. And the watchman said, methinketh the running of the foremost is like the running of Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok. The king said, he is a good man, and cometh with good tidings. And Ahimaaz called and said unto the king, all is well. He fell down to the earth upon his face before the king and said, blessed be Jehovah thy God, which hath delivered up the men that lifted up their hand against my lord the king. And the king said, is the young man Absalom safe? And Ahimaaz said, when Joab sent the king's servant and me thy servant, I saw a great tumult, but I knew not what it was. The king said unto him, turn aside and stand here. And he turned aside and stood still. And behold, Cushai came. And Cushai said, tidings, my lord the king, for Jehovah hath avenged thee this day of all them that rose up against thee. The king said unto Cushai, is the young man Absalom safe? And Cushai answered, the enemies of my lord the king, and all that rise against thee to do thee hurt, be as that young man is. The king was much moved, and went up to the chamber over the gate and wept. And as he went, thus he said, O my son Absalom, my son Absalom. Would God I had died for thee, O Absalom, my son, my son. All right. Now, so when David sends his generals out to battle, he says, deal gently with Absalom. Absalom had gathered the troops from Israel to go out and find David and to kill him and to bring all the people back to Jerusalem. And so now they're out there ready to battle. And David tells his generals, don't hurt Absalom. But you got to remember, Absalom is the reason that they're fighting their kinsmen. Absalom is the reason they had to leave Jerusalem. Absalom set Joab's field on fire. Absalom is the reason they sleeping on the ground and moving from place to place. Do you really think that they will hold back for Absalom? So now when the messenger returns, David's first question is not, how does the battle go or where are they? He asks, is the young man safe? He still loves his son. No matter what Absalom did to David, he's still his child, and he still cares for his safety. Absalom, riding on a mule, got his head caught in a tree, and the mule just kept going. Now here he is, hanging between the tree and the earth, and he can't get away. Joab kills him. Enough of this Absalom business. So now when David hears, David is distraught. Oh, my son Absalom. 2 Samuel chapter 19. And it was told Joab, behold, the king weepeth and mourneth for Absalom. And the victory that was turned into mourning unto all the people. That day was turned into mourning unto all the people. For the people heard say that day how the king was grieved for his son. He's the enemy. Verse 3. And the people gat them by stealth that day into the city, as people being ashamed steal away when they flee in battle. Instead of coming home victorious and proud, they come home sneaking in as if they had lost, because David had put a cloud over their victory. Verse 4. But the king covered his face, and the king cried with a loud voice, "Oh, my son Absalom, oh, Absalom, my son, my son." And Joab came into the house to the king and said, Thou hast shamed this day the faces of all thy servants, which this day have saved thy life, and the lives of thy sons, and of thy daughters, and the lives of thy wives, and the lives of thy concubines, in that thou lovest thine enemies and hatest thy friends. David, you mourning for the wrong people. For thou hast declared this day that thou regardest neither princes nor servants. For this day I perceive that if Absalom had lived, and all we had died this day, then it had pleased thee well. Joab said, you'd have been happy if he lived and everybody else died. Verse 7. Now therefore arise, go forth, and speak comfortably unto thy servants. For I swear by Jehovah, if thou go not forth, there will not tarry one with thee this night. And that will be worse unto thee than all the evil that befell thee from thy youth until now. We're going to desert you if you don't go and comfort those men. Verse 8. Then the king arose and sat in the gate, and they told unto all the people, saying, Behold, the king doth sit in the gate. And all the people came before the king, for Israel had fled every man to his tent. And all the people were at strife throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, The king saved us out of the hand of our enemies, and he delivered us out of the hand of the Philistines. And now he is fled out of the land for Absalom. He fought all those enemies, and now his son is the one that got him on the run. Verse 10. And Absalom, whom we anointed over us, is dead in battle. Now therefore, why speak ye not a word of bringing the king back? King David sent to Zadok and to Abiathar the priest, saying, Speak unto the elders of Judah, saying, Why are ye the last to bring the king back to his house? Seeing the speech of all Israel is come to the king, even to this house. Ye are my brethren, ye are my bones and my flesh. Wherefore are ye the last to bring back the king? And they say to Amasa, Art thou not of my bone and of my flesh? God do so to me, and more also, if thou be not captain of the host before me continually in the room of Joab. And he bowed the heart of all the men of Judah, even as the heart of one man, so that they sent this word unto the king, Return thou and all thy servants. All right, so David is being welcomed back as the king in Jerusalem. So the king returned and came to Jordan. And Judah came to Gilgal to go to meet the king, to conduct the king over Jordan. And Shimei, the son of Gera, a Benjamite, which is of Baharim, hastened and came down with the men of Judah to meet King David. And there were 1,000 men of Benjamin with him. And Ziba, the servant of the house of Saul, and his 15 sons and his 20 servants with him. And they went over Jordan before the king. And there went over a ferry boat to carry over the king's household and to do what he thought good. And Shimei, the son of Gera, fell down before the king as he was come over Jordan. Remember, Shimei is the guy that cursed David on his way out of Jerusalem. And one of David's men wanted to kill him. David said, let him alone. Just let him have his say. But here he is. Now David is returning. Verse 19, and said unto the king, let not my Lord impute iniquity upon me, unto me, neither do thou remember that which thy servant did perversely the day that my Lord the king went out of Jerusalem, that the king should take it to his heart. For thy servant doth know that I have sinned. Therefore, behold, I am come the first this day of all the house of Joseph to go down to meet my Lord the king. Shimei said, forgive me. I know I've sinned. Please don't hold it against me. Verse 21. But Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, answered and said, shall not Shimei be put to death for this, because he cursed Jehovah's anointed? And David said, what have I to do with you, ye sons of Zeruiah, that ye should this day be adversaries unto me? Shall there any man be put to death this day in Israel? For do not I know that I am this day king over Israel? Therefore the king said unto Shimei, thou shalt not die. And the king sware unto him. And Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, came down to meet the king, and had neither dressed his feet, nor trimmed his beard, nor washed his clothes from the day the king departed until the day he came again in peace. Remember, Ziba came and told David that Mephibosheth had gone back to Jerusalem now that you left to try to reclaim the throne. Verse 25. It came to pass when he was come to Jerusalem to meet the king, that the king said unto him, wherefore went not thou with me, Mephibosheth? And he answered, my lord, O king, my servant deceived me. For thy servant said, I will saddle an ass, that I may ride thereon and go to the king, because thy servant is lame. And he has slandered thy servant unto my lord the king. But my lord the king is an angel of God. Do therefore what is good in thine eyes. David, you got a bad message. You got the wrong information. Somebody lied on me. So since you do what God says, I want you to just do whatever you see fit. Verse 28. For all my father's house were but dead men before my lord the king. Yet didst thou set thy servant among them that did eat at thine own table. What right therefore have I yet to cry any more unto the king? The king said unto him, why speakest thou any more of thy matters? I have said, thou and Ziba divide the land. And Mephibosheth said unto the king, yea, let him take all. For as much as my lord the king is come again in peace unto his own house. So Mephibosheth said, they lied on me. I was not trying to go and take the kingdom. I was trying to catch up with you guys, but it took me too long because I'm lame in my feet. And by the time I got there, they had told you the wrong thing. And David said, don't even worry about it. He said, listen, you can let Ziba have everything. All I'm glad about is that you are back. See how things can get out of hand when folk don't tell the truth? Verse 31. And Barzillai the Gileadite came down from Rogelim and went over Jordan with the king to conduct him over Jordan. Now Barzillai was a very aged man, even 80 years old, and he had provided the king of substance while he lay in Mahanaim, for he was a very great man. The king said unto Barzillai, come thou over with me, and I will feed thee with me in Jerusalem. And Barzillai said unto the king, how long have I to live, that I should go up with the king into Jerusalem? I am this day 80 years old, and can discern between good and evil. Can thy servant taste what I eat or what I drink? Can I hear any more the voice of singing men and singing women? Wherefore then should thy servant be yet a burden unto my lord the king? Thy servant will go a little way over Jordan with the king, and why should the king recompense it me with such a reward? Let thy servant, I pray thee, turn back again, that I may die in my own city, and be buried by the grave of my father and of my mother. But behold, thy servant, Shimham, let him go over with my lord the king, and do to him what shall seem good unto thee. And the king answered, Shimham shall go over with me, and I will do to him that which seem good unto thee. And whatsoever thou shalt require of me, that will I do for thee. And all the people went over to Jordan. And when the king was come over, the king kissed Barzillai and blessed him, and he returned unto his own place. All right, so here's a man that helped David, sent provisions to him while he was on his way out of Jerusalem. And now he said, glad you're going back. I'm going to go over Jordan with you. David said, come on to Jerusalem and be my guest. He said, no, just let me stay at home. Here, take my servant with you. Do what you will for him. Verse 40. Then the king went on to Gilgal, and Shimham went on with him. And all the people of Judah conducted the king, and also half the people of Israel. And behold, all the men of Israel came to the king and said unto the king, why have our brethren, the men of Judah, stolen thee away, and have brought the king and his household and all David's men with him over Jordan? And all the men of Judah answered the men of Israel, because the king is near of kin to us. Wherefore then be ye angry for this matter? We have eaten at all of his king's cost. Have we eaten at all of the king's cost, or hath he given us any gift? And the men of Israel answered the men of Judah and said, we have 10 parts in the king, and ye have also more right in David and we have also more right in David than ye. Why then did you despise us, that our advice should not be first had in bringing back our king? And the words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel. So now they're arguing over who loves the king more. Why you didn't call us when you were bringing David back to Jerusalem? Well, David is our kinfolk. Well, it's more of us than it is of you. And now they're getting and having contention between Israel and Judah. The chapter picks up where we left off, where the last one left off. And David is weeping for Absalom, so much so that the victory parade is turned into a shameful return, and the people have to sneak back into the city as if they were the ones defeated. How sad. Joab has had it. He speaks harshly to David without fear for his life and tells him to straighten up and act like a king. If you don't, everybody's going to leave. You won't be king any longer. Now the people want to know why David is not brought back as king by the elders. He was a good king before, and Absalom is dead. He even sends words to Amasa that he will be captain over the host in place of Joab. Bring me back to Jerusalem. So Judah comes around first and goes to meet David and brings him back to Jerusalem. He meets Shimei, the one who cursed him on the way out. Shimei now has a different speech, but David is gracious. Ziba is also there. So is Mephibosheth, pleading for his life, and David is gracious. Now there's strife between Judah and Israel, almost to the point of a conflict. So what have we learned thus far? We've seen David go through trial after trial. As much as we don't like trials, they are part of our development. He's a different man than when he was anointed king by Samuel. We've seen his growth through the Psalms that he wrote, and we know that come what may, David trusts in God. I hope you learned something from our study today. I pray that you are growing by this greater understanding of what the Bible says and what the Bible means. Join us next week as we continue this series. Share these lessons with those you know, like us, and help us to grow this ministry to spread the word to those on the internet. Until next week, we pray that you'll be careful and be prayerful. God bless you.
I get joy, joy, thinking about what he's done for me. I get joy, joy, thinking about what he's done for me. It's in my hands, my feet, I'm talking about what he's done for me. I get joy just thinking about what he's done for me.